Hey everybody, it's BCTV on the scene. We're here at the Brattleboro Museum and Arts Center on the 5th of January, 2011, the homecoming visit from Governor-elect Peter Shumlin. He will in fact be governor by the time you see this, and he's stopping in to say hello and thank the hometown crowd as he does his victory lap around the state of Vermont. So we're expecting him to turn up very shortly, so stay tuned.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Hey, how are you?
Hi,
nice
to
see you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Welcome
you so
back to
much.
the street.
Hey,
Nice to see you,
they
man.
let you into this crowd.
I know. Well, I haven't gotten in yet. There's way
security.
too many humans. I don't
That's
want to
all
do it.
right.
Hi Peter, welcome back to town.
It's great to be home, and thanks for having me tonight.
Yes, indeed. You're the first governor in a generation from Windham County. What do you think that might mean for an area of Vermont that maybe has felt a little more distant than some of the other parts of the state?
Well, you know, we don't get governors very often. We've actually had two Windham County governors in the history of this great state. The first was George Aiken, our best governor. The second was Tom Salmon, and I'm honored to be the third. I can tell you I will not forget where I came from. Windham County desperately needs jobs. We need economic opportunities. And I think that we often do get left behind, as does Bennington County in the South generally. You know, there's a saying that if you're south of Route 4, you don't get elected governor. Well, every once in a while a miracle happens, and I can tell you this governor's going to notice south of Route 4 and work really hard for the people that have been so good to me over the years.
That's great. I need to ask you about Southern Vermont Cable. There's talk of removing community TV from there. Wondering what your reaction might be if your own press conferences aren't seen in your hometown.
Well, that'd be a real disappointment, and BCTV does an extraordinary job. It's a real community service. It also, you know, in an era where press more and more is controlled by corporations and entities that are no longer as objective as they once were from Fox News on down, I think we have a real responsibility in this state to ensure that our community television broadcasting networks remain strong. And so I would really like to see BCTV carried as broadly as we possibly can.
Great. Well, we feel the same way. Two more questions. Give us a preview maybe of what the first couple of weeks of the Shumlin administration might look like.
Well, you know, first let me say I'm incredibly grateful to Windham County resident Liz Bankowski, who has, with Howard Dean, co-chaired the transition team. We have an extraordinary team of people that we've put together, the best and the brightest, to get some really tough things done. Now, obviously, the first challenge is that we have a budget to balance. We all know that. $154 million shortfall. And, you know, I've been running a business in Windham County all my life. One thing I've learned is those problems do not go away. So it is my intention to balance the budget once and for all, so we're not back here next year going around this barn again. That's going to be tough. It's not going to be popular, but we will make the tough choices. Everyone thinks or many people think that's our biggest challenge. I don't think it is. I actually think that's tough, but it isn't as tough as some of the other challenges we face. And you know, I've been elected governor at a time where I think that there could not be more unanimity around Vermont about what they want from their government. They want a governor who's going to do everything in their power to create jobs and lift the economic boat for Vermonters. To do that, understanding that businesses create jobs, government does not, the question is, what can I do as governor to improve the economic outlook and to raise incomes, particularly for middle-class Vermonters? The answer is infrastructure. You're going to see me work very aggressively to deliver broadband and cell service to every last mile, including Windham County, by 2013. I am bound and determined to get that done. We cannot grow jobs if we remain a connectivity backwater. Second, we do have to get health care costs under control. I am bound and determined to pass a health care system, universal access, where health care is a right and not a privilege, and where it follows the individual, not the employer. It's ambitious, but I think we have a good shot at it. Third, a tax policy that grows wealth and grows jobs. And fourth, we really have to invest in education so that we have a workforce that can do the jobs of the 21st century. So those are some of the things you're going to see me focus on like a laser.
Great. And final question, there's a whole room full of people in here, but what other thoughts would you like to share with voters and viewers in our Windham County area?
Well, let me just say that this inauguration is a 3-day event, and it's not about me. It's about the best state in the country, the state of Vermont. And I would not be where I am were it not for Windham County standing behind me every step of the way. From the minute that I entered public service to this primary campaign, as you know, was very, very close. Windham County has just been there for me time and time again. So I say Happy New Year. I'm incredibly grateful. I will never forget. I will work hard every day to make Windham County a better place to live.
Great. Well, congratulations. Have a lot of fun. And
Hey, thank you. And come on down.
Will do.
All right. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
And Governor-elect Shumlin heading into the Brattleboro Museum and Arts Center to a large group of people. Very excited. Let's go inside and see what the reaction is.
I'm Danny Lichtenfeld. I'm the director of the Brattleboro Museum and Arts Center. I had no idea there were so many art lovers here. It's great to have you. You should come out more often. What an honor it is for us to host this momentous occasion. Would you please give it up for your governor-elect from Putney, Vermont, Peter Shumlin.
You know, what a great night. Evie and Jeff, I think Mom and Dad are here. If they're not too embarrassed to come on up. Yeah, come on. My creators, Jeff and Evie, Ben, Julia, come on, bring the team. Let's get rid of that. There we go. We got a few other family members that are lingering around. You're all family, don't get me wrong. Come on, Evie. Where's Jeff? Come on up.
Jeff and Evie.
I didn't get the shy gene, but they did. Julia, Evie, come on up. Yeah. Hey, let's give this family a hand for being so great. Where's Ben? We lost Ben. Come on, Ben. We know you're down there somewhere. No, where's Ben hiding? All right.
Where is he?
Come on, Ben. Come on in. Yeah, there we go. Jeez, let's get the whole team. Yeah, all right. This is it. It's as good as it gets. Thank you. Hey, I just want to say, I am just so extraordinarily grateful to Windham County for electing this little Putney boy governor. You did it. You had the power. You used the power. We're grateful to you, and we are going to do great things for you. Thank you so much. And I can't tell you how it warms my heart to look out and see the people that raised me, the people that have stood by me, the people who have been such a tremendous force in allowing this moment to happen. So I say to you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am extraordinarily grateful. I'm not going to give you a long speech, but I do want to say a couple of words about our opportunity. You know, while the rest of the nation was drinking tea, thank God for Windham County. And I really feel privileged to join the ranks of governors from Windham County. You know, it's a pretty short list. The best governor in the history of this state was from Putney. His name was George Aiken. And I promise you I will walk in his shadow every single day. But there are a few things that we could say about George Aiken and his courage and his leadership that I will carry with me every single day on the job. The first is, George Aiken did for electricity in Vermont by saying to the power companies when electricity was just coming in, hey folks, if you want to run it to Brattleboro, you got to run it to Marlboro.
Yes.
And if you want to run it to Marlboro, you got to run it to Newfane. And it ain't just the downtowns, you got to get the back roads every last mile. We're going to do for broadband what George Aiken did for electricity. It's coming to you by 2013. That's a promise. We have some other challenges. And I just came back from baby governor school. Now, you know, there are a lot of things that I didn't expect to happen to me in life. This is one of them, to be honest. You made it possible. We knew it was a long shot. You made it happen. But the other was I never thought I'd get flown into baby governor school with more baby governors than any time in American history. And I got to tell you, it was an eye-opener, and it was a great experience. But I am the only one who seemed to be there with a different vision of how to deal with our healthcare challenges than the rest of them. Their vision is to let the special interests, the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical industry, the manufacturers of medical equipment, the entire list, the folks who worked so hard to spend $1.5 million a day in Washington to ensure that real reform didn't happen there, are now in the hands of most of the baby governors out there. But I am not in their hands, and we are not in their hands. So here's our opportunity, and here's our challenge. If we want to create jobs in Vermont, which we must, broadband to every last mile, cell service to every hill, we get that. To every valley, yes. But here's our challenge. 8 years ago, when Governor Jim Douglas was sworn into office, and I saw him give his farewell speech today, we were spending $2.5 billion on health care in this little state. Today, 8 years later, we are spending over $5 billion on health care. No one believes, thank you, no one believes that this is sustainable. So this is what we must do. Let Vermont be the first state in the country that does it right, that gets it right, that has a health care system that is universal coverage, where health care is a right and not a privilege, where health care follows the individual, is not a requirement of the employer, and where we contain costs with technology. We will work very hard to make that happen with the help of Bernie Sanders, Pat Leahy, Peter Welch, and President Barack Obama. We can make the way to show the way, and we'll fight for that every single day. And the final part of our jobs plan that's so important is in contrast to the rhetoric that we hear from most politicians. How many people here have ever served on a school board? Raise your hand. Keep them up. How many people have ever sent a kid to a school system in Vermont? Raise your hand. Look at that. How many people have ever been a teacher or are a teacher? Raise your hand. Wow. How many people here have ever believed that we would let it get so low? I will call an end tomorrow to the war of words from Montpelier against our children, against our teachers, against our principals, against our school board members, and we are going to work together to ensure that Vermont continues to have the best quality of education in the country. That will get the trained workforce, that will bring the jobs of the 21st century, that will lift our boats, that will make Vermont the jobs creator. We'll do it together. And so that's a little teeny snippet of what you're going to get tomorrow. It won't be quite that off the cuff. There are a lot of great people here. I just want to recognize a few. I first want to thank Elizabeth Bankowski, who is Elizabeth here. She didn't drive down. She's up there working every day. But Liz Bankowski has put together the most extraordinary cabinet and the most extraordinary secretaries and appointees in the history of this great state. Let's hear it for Liz and Howard Dean. One of my most important decisions as Secretary of Administration, and I am so proud to have convinced Treasurer Jeb Spalding to leave the Treasury and join us. Jeb's here tonight. Let's give him a hand. And I want all of you to meet tonight Beth Pierce. And Beth, you just got to raise your hand because I don't know where I've lost you, but I saw you coming in. Beth, she's right over there. Follow the crutches. Yeah, Beth started the state exercise program. She's been on crutches ever since. Beth is going to be, I'm appointing Beth as treasurer of the state of Vermont. She's extraordinarily qualified. I hope you'll get to know her because we want her to be treasurer for more than just 2 years. So go say hi to Beth before you leave. Beth, thank you and welcome to Lincoln County. And let me close by saying this. It all started here. I will not forget that Vermont goes beyond south of Route 4. We have been the Forgotten Kingdom, but we are no longer the Forgotten Kingdom. And I just want to mention to a few historical facts. The first time I ever had a microphone in my hand was right in this town. I was in the 8th grade. It was the first Earth Day. Vermont Yankee was just being constructed. He was under construction. They hadn't flipped the switch yet. And we marched from Putney to Brattleboro because the notion of environmental movement was just starting. And they wanted some kid from the class to get up and speak at the Commons to represent young people. And I only took the assignment because all of my other friends were smart enough to refuse. A guy named Richard Nixon was president of the United States. And he used to say, in almost every speech that he gave, I want to make 2 things perfectly clear. And then he would usually go on to say things that we all disagreed with. So I went to that speech and I said, I want to make 2 things perfectly clear. The water and the air. That was not my last commitment to ensuring that what we pass on, the best state in the nation, with the most beautiful mountains, the most beautiful rivers, the most beautiful lake, the most beautiful people, that what we pass on must be in better shape than the way we found it. I will try my hardest to ensure that Vermont, unlike the rest of the country who is in denial, is the state when we leave that recognizes that if we do not scramble to get off our addiction to oil and move to renewable technologies, the planet that we pass on will be unlivable for our children and our grandchildren. I understand that Vermont cannot do it alone, but I also understand that if Vermont can be the example, if we can show the rest of the country that wind and solar and biomass, that transportation infrastructure, that our downtown planning, that are where we grow our food, the quality of our food, buying local instead of from factory farms, and the list goes on and on. If that results in economic development, which it will, a bright future for agriculture, a bright future for manufacturing, a bright future for technology, a bright future for tourism, and a bright future for farmers, then they don't get it. So we're going to work hard on that every single day. Thank you so much for being here. Here we go.